Comedy for good. And nothing says comedy like my friend Fritz Coleman, who's been around in television in Los Angeles almost as long as I have, 30 plus years, but we're both retired, and now look at us. Fritz, how are you?
I'll tell you, you've got a great little alternative form of work for yourself there. You're doing a great job, and I'm really happy to talk to you, Carlos. It's been
Thank
a long
you.
time.
It has been a long time. Of course, you were a staple at Channel 4 forever, and I was at the next channel up, Channel 5, for years and years. And it's so great to talk to you. And you're always busy. You're always appearing at comedy clubs. And back in the day, many years ago, I went to a couple of your shows and enjoyed you thoroughly. I didn't really, at that time, this was back in the 90s, I didn't realize that you were in the comedy business. I thought you were just a solid weatherman.
Well, solid, that's a loose interpretation. But you know, I spent 39 years going morning clouds and fog, hazy afternoon sun. I had to have something to occupy myself otherwise. So I did comedy. I got my job doing weather from doing stand-up. I was hired because the old news director at Channel 4, Steve Antonetti, that you may or may not have met earlier.
Yes, I did know him, yeah.
Saw me at the Comedy Store and offered me a chance to do weekends. And honestly, it's the great miracle of broadcasting that I was employed as long as I was. But
well, you were really good. I mean, come on, you're one of the best weather guys in the country, and the envy of every TV station in LA. We all wanted Fritz on our team.
Well, I appreciate that.
And so part of what one of the good things about Fritz that I've always known was that you always were involved in the community. You gave of your time, you gave of yourself, and you're doing it again with the Salvation Army. You serve on its board. Tell me about this new thing that you're doing. It's called Comedy for Good.
Well, I'll tell you, I really appreciate, Carlos, that you're giving us an opportunity to talk about it. This is wonderful. I've had a relationship with the Salvation Army for 30 years, and I'm so proud of the work they do. And here's the irony of the pandemic. There's never been a greater need for all of the greater services that the Salvation Army provides, whether it's finding temporary or permanent homes for homeless people, whether feeding people who are in tough economic straits, whether it's alcohol or drug rehabilitation for men and women. They do it 365 days a year. The irony is that during the pandemic, there was the greatest need ever for their services. The reverse side of that is they couldn't raise their money the typical way they would with live events and going out in the street and shaking hands with people and doing word of mouth educating of people on their mission.
They couldn't even do the kettle on Christmas. I mean, it was terrible.
Yes, and all those things that are sort of iconic holiday events. So we came up with a way where we can continue to keep the Salvation Army top of mind for some people and try to raise a little money, hopefully as much as we could during a perfect year. So we came up with a comedy night. It's called Comedy for Good. And we have 3 spectacular comedians. Kevin Jordan, who's worked all over the United States and for the troops overseas. He was one-time LAPD beat cop, and he's got great stories about that. We have Robert G. Lee, who is hands down the preeminent sitcom warm-up guy in town, which is a very special talent. He's a wonderful stand-up. And we have this fabulous Latina by the name of Monique Marvez, who's hysterical.
Yeah, I've seen her. She's amazing. Yeah.
Do you know her? Yeah, she's just wonderful. She's had 3 Showtime specials and a very successful and very funny YouTube channel. It's going to be on July 8th at 6 o'clock. We pre-recorded the comedy segments at the Red Shield Community Center, which is a Salvation Army facility in the downtown area. And it's really fun.
I'm gonna tell you some true things. I'm gonna tell you the truth wrapped in bacon so you'll eat it. You're gonna think it's jokes.
You served 225 million meals last year. And it was closer to 226 million, but one guy kept going back for seconds, so they had to round it down.
In here tonight, let's see. All right. Some of you look guilty.
We think that, I think the greatest thing we can offer folks is a laugh and a chance to take them out of their heads and get them used to returning to a normal lifestyle. It's really funny, and we hope to raise a little money. We have a goal of $200,000, and if anybody wants to watch, by going to comedyforgood.org to sign up. We would love to see you there. I promise you won't be disappointed.
Oh, that sounds like a great show and an easy way to contribute to the Salvation Army. You know, it's interesting how you said all the things that the Salvation Army does. Most people just think it's a thrift store, but it's way more than that.
Well, I'll tell you, one of my criticisms of this wonderful group of people is that they're very humble about their accomplishments. But as I mentioned, people's awareness of the Salvation Army really only happens during the holidays. You see the person ringing the bell out there, and very seldom do you engage them in a conversation and ask them where the money's going. You're just helping them out because you know it's probably going for good. These people do astonishing amounts of work, and there's no greater crisis in LA County and specifically the city of Los Angeles than homelessness. And their headquarters are right down there, and they are 24/7 doing wonderful work to solve this homelessness crisis. Over the last year, they found 2,500 temporary homes for people, and they permanently placed folks in permanent housing to the tune of 550 families.
Wow.
We're really proud of their work. And they've served 1.5 million meals over the last year. So they're doing the street level grassroots work to solve what is probably the biggest political problem in Southern California, homelessness right now.
Well, I appreciate all the good work you're doing in our community. And Fritz, you're always a true gentleman. And I appreciate so much you coming on our program to talk about these important issues. But I have to try out my favorite joke on you. You ready?
Please.
Three-legged dog walks into a bar and says, "I'm looking for the man who shot my paw." We'll add the rim shot
Listen,
later.
I'm going to be using that when I get back in the clubs. I'm telling you.
Fritz Coleman, thanks very much. God bless you. Appreciate the good work. All right, take care.
Bye-bye.